Look, we all know Among Us for one reason or another. But either way, if you're watching this video, most likely you're not only aware of this game's downfall, but are also pretty aware of the fact that this game has been sort of one of the weirdest games in terms of updates. Because if we are being real, most of the issues with this game have revolved around both the lack of updates and the fact that when updates do eventually come out, they're usually pretty disappointing to say the least. But anyway, with Among Us being well beyond its prime, what could be next for this game in terms of updates? And could the game have the potential to make a comeback in the near future? Make sure to go join my Discord, link in the description. I'm almost always there talking. The first thing I want to mention is the Among Us sequel. Now, if you weren't aware, Among Us, when it first got popular, was immediately followed up by an announcement telling us about another Among Us game that would be coming out soon with the goal of making a more optimized version of the game, so updates and such would be significantly easier to do since the original Among Us had been said to be a bit of a mess when developed. Anyway, over time, this Among Us 2 thing, as expected, started to be neglected up until the point it inevitably got cancelled. The developers had told everybody that they were planning on simply just toughing it out for the first game, and instead would be adding all their updates into the first, which may have initially seemed alright, but this would come with absolutely massive wait times in between updates, leading to where we are now. And honestly, at this point with these wait times, I feel like an entirely new Among Us could have probably been done by now. It feels like there have been so little updates. I mean, the devs have done some slight changes to the game that would have probably been added into the second Among Us. For example, better graphics and some game mechanic changes. But other than that, we pretty much just have the same game we had back when it blew up, because these updates are taking absolutely forever. So that's why when I mentioned some of the potential updates, take everything with a grain of salt, because I don't know the chances they'll actually come out anytime soon. So the first main thing I wanted to address is the roadmap that Among Us had recently posted, showing off everything they're planning on adding in the near future. In this, we're reminded about the new roles that came out, along with the introduction of cosmic cubes and 15-player support, which is great. And in terms of what's coming soon, we can expect some basic quality of life updates, and the most important update being the Friends List edition. As of right now, if you want to play the game, it's pretty similar to most server-based titles. And what you do is you make a lobby and give out a code to everybody who you want to play with. But to simplify things a lot, what Among Us has recently decided to do was work on making integrated friends lists. So that way, rather than using these code systems or other weird third-party sources like the Steam friend list, Among Us can have their own list of friends inside of the game. This list will allow the ability to add people cross-platform and let players simply just invite people. So that way, rather than having to share out some sort of code that can get leaked or can get lost, they're adding this new feature that's going to overall make things a lot easier. This is most likely what's going to be coming in the next update, just based on how many notes they've given us about this. And of course, it's what's listed as next on the roadmap. Moving over to the future plans part of the map, we can of course expect more roles coming to the game and more cubes as well. However, the two most important things to cover are hide and seek and the collaborations. So for the collabs, I'm not exactly sure what this is going to mean. Among Us has done collaborations in the past by being in other games, but what I assume they mean by collabs is the addition of brand new skins that relate to other games. For example, a bit ago, Among Us had done a collaboration with League of Legends where there were skins players could get that relate to that game. It's very similar to the new trend that Fortnite has done in the past, where they add big name characters and skins into their game. In terms of hide and seek, I honestly don't know what the holdup with this game mode is. It was announced a decent bit ago, and the whole point of the game is just to give players the ability to play hide and seek with an integrated game mode, where the players have limited visibility and naturally have to go and search for everybody. This is something that has been done in roleplay lobbies for a while now, and the goal is to imaginably separate the people who want to actually play the game from the people who just want to play that specific mode. But either way, it's taking absolutely forever to come out for whatever reason, although hopefully it comes out soon. This roadmap looks at least okay. I would say we could expect this all to come out maybe within the next year or so, depending on how things go. But even though these features inherently are going to take forever to come out just based on their previous history, there's also going to be an extensive wait time after the friends list update finally drops, because the team is planning on taking a break from adding content to just straight up fix bugs into the game purely. And they had hinted that after this break, hide and seek should be worked on next, which seems good, but even then, I still wouldn't expect these things to come out anytime soon, to be honest. And while most of these things seem to be pretty set in stone and guaranteed, I wouldn't say that these are all 100% coming soon or even coming at all, because Among Us has actually done roadmaps in the past, but things don't always go to plan. The biggest example being the Map 5 update. It's been about a year since the airship map finally dropped, including tons of cool new features, but with that multi-month wait, fans were already pretty upset with how long it took for that map to come out. It did add a lot of new things with the game, which was cool, but overall, the amount of time it took to develop the map was a little bit annoying. Anyway, after this map came out, naturally people began to await a brand new map, because realistically, all these quality of life changes along with bug fixes are going to make the current game better, but they aren't making it very interesting or replayable, because having only 4 more maps to play within the past year imaginably got pretty boring for anybody who has stuck with the game up to this point. Anyway, the first mention of this 5th map was all the way back in June of last year during the first roadmap shown to us, that of which highlighting tons of new things coming, including the yet to be released hide and seek mode, along with of course this brand new map 5 people were already getting excited for. This map 5 announcement was accompanied by a teeny tiny teaser, and that's pretty much it for the initial announcement. Now over time we were expecting all these updates to be developed over time with some more teasers for the said map 5, or even at least a name, because with the airship rollout we saw something pretty similar to that with little map snippets and pretty consistent devlogs about where the state of the game was. But as the roadmap was progressing and new things were being added to it, the 5th map was being prioritized and talked about less and less. Eventually we got to the point now where it's not even being shown on the map at all anymore. So I'm really confused as to where this map 5 even is. I mean, I'd understand if it was sort of put on the back burner for other things because as they said they wanted to take a step back to focus on bugs and glitches in the near future, but the team has literally been radio silent about map 5 entirely. So could it be cancelled? Well, for now I think it actually may be, or at least the plans for it were. It's safe to assume that with them announcing it back then, they were planning on moving it up over time until it finally got announced and inevitably released. But as more of these more recent things were put on the plate for Among Us, like the friends list, this map had been consistently pushed back. Nobody knows where exactly the map went for the time being, but in my opinion, I don't even think it's being worked on right now at all, or could have actually maybe even been scrapped altogether. Even if the map was being developed as a side project, the Among Us team has been great with sharing tons of new information about upcoming updates, and giving us a great idea on what we can be expecting next. But with this map, we basically have nothing to point us towards any progress with the game. No images, no slight mentions or teases, no like anything. So I think there's one of two things that are going on here in my opinion. My first theory points towards this map just being put on hold for now, meaning it is still coming and the concept is still there, but for now these other updates have been the most important to them and the map will be picked up where it left off later. The other theory is that the map could have potentially been scrapped, and I actually think that's pretty plausible. These other updates have taken over the spotlight, and with the amount of quality of life changes that have been added to the game, this next map may already be out of date for what Among Us wants just in its prototype version. So I think that a potential reason it may not have been talked about anymore is because they just decided to scrap it for now. And when the time comes for them to work on it, they may develop a brand new concept for a map that would revolve around all of these new changes for the game whenever they have time. That's what I think happened, but some people fear it won't even matter in all reality because the game just isn't that popular anymore, so who cares? And while I honestly have to agree, to an extent that is, I obviously don't think the game is entirely dead and there's always going to be a pretty big community around it, those of which being some pretty loyal fans. But there's unfortunately no denying that these games updates are nowhere near as hyped as they used to be. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about how this game supposedly died. However, if you want to hear my take on the game's fall from popularity, check this video here. For the people sticking with the game, this is what we have so far. Subscribe and peace.